For a showy, elegant plant for indoors, the Phalaenopsis orchid is hard to beat. If we were to take a census of all the bathrooms and the lounge rooms throughout Australia, this orchid would be really well represented. There's about 70 species of Phalaenopsis orchids found in the wild, in the tropical parts of the world, in fact even in northern Australia. But there's many thousands more of cultivars, like this one. Florists and nurseries often sell them as gifts because of this bright profusion of flowers, but they can over time slump to a few sad-looking leaves and a tangle of roots. As you can see from this lineup, it can be a little bit all or nothing. Usually the Phalaenopsis orchid will flower for about 3 months. You might even get a bit longer out of it. And it's called the moth orchid because it is so like a moth or a butterfly. It's a beauty. You'll notice that once the flowers have been hanging onto the stems, they will start to dry off and fall off. And that's the time that if you put in a little bit of extra effort, you may end up with another flowering stem. And the way to do that is by pruning it. Go down and look for 2 nodes from the bottom, and that's where you're going to prune. It's a really good idea to do that because it puts the energy into the root system down at the bottom, and what's going to hopefully happen is that a new shoot will come from here and branch out, and you'll get lots of new flowers. If you'd left that old stem on, it might have had some very small flowers on it, but it's a bit unlikely. If it has gone completely brown, you need to take the old dried stem right down to the ground, right down in that area down there. So by doing that, you're going to encourage flowers, hopefully within 8 to 12 weeks. Now this one has died right back, and maybe it was cut back just too late. And so I would just take that right off down at its base. These plants are epiphytic, meaning that they grow on branches or on rocks, and they attach themselves and then glean nutrients from the environment. These are actually roots that are creeping out of the pot, and you might wonder, what on earth are they? These escaping roots are a sure sign that the plant needs to be repotted. And they all like to be grown in a chunky bark-based orchid mix. Now this plant can be gently removed from the pot, and as I suspected, the roots have actually rotted. It's been sitting in too much water, and that's a real no-no when it comes to these epiphytic orchids. They like to be on the dry side. So what I'm going to do is trim them off. This one down here, and that black one there. You can see here that the sphagnum moss has been used as a potting medium. I'm going to take all of that off. Look at this. That's what it does. It retains moisture, and it's just too much for these very fleshy roots. They rot. Your new pot should be around 5 centimetres wider than the last one. It doesn't need to be any deeper. In fact, orchids prefer pots on the shallow side, as long as they have a bit of width, given the roots tend to spread out rather than go down. Nestle the plant so that the crown is in the centre of the pot, and don't have it too deep. The bark, of course, is very free draining, and that's why I like to use it. Press it in so it's standing up nice and straight. And you might be wondering about these. These have been out of the pot for quite a while. They're very stiff and they break very easily, so you couldn't put them back into the pot. I'm going to chop that one off and then just tap it down so that the plant is nice and stable. Water that in with half-strength seaweed fertiliser and wait until it all drains through. That then is fine to go. You could fertilise it every 2 or 3 weeks in the growing time in summer. I like to also water mine, especially in winter, in the sink. Dunk it in there, wait till the bubbles finish, and after about a minute or 2, take it out. Never leave a pot of Phalaenopsis in the water because the roots will rot. Moth orchids are not necessarily difficult, they just have particular needs, but given a little bit of love, they'll be a gift that keeps on giving.